Hey, welcome to the Ready to Lose podcast, where we look at what's going on in our brains to create the health and weight loss that we want. My name's Billy Blake, and I'm a certified life and weight loss coach determined to help women love themselves all the way to their goal. It's time to start losing weight in a way that actually feels like us and creating that healthy life that we love showing up for every single day. So tell me, are you ready to lose? Let's go. Hey, ready babes, welcome back to the podcast where we are done with dieting and are losing weight by using our freaking brains, not willpower or restriction. Because the simple truth is, if you aren't losing weight, it's because you have habits that are making you overeat. Habits come from your brain, right? That is why here I am a life coach that helps women lose weight. I help you work on your thoughts, your attitude, your beliefs about yourself in your life that right now are making you eat. Eat more than you need, eat more than you really want to be eating, especially because you have weight loss goals. And a lot of that work is habit work. Habits, again, come from our brains. We all have habits. They are a way for your brain to save energy by automating those routine behaviors. And there's so many reasons why it does this, right? Energy conservation. By turning common actions into unconscious routines, your brain conserves its limited mental energy. For example, every time you get into a car, you don't need to consciously decide to put on your seatbelt. It's just a habit that requires no thought, which allows your brain to focus on other things like navigating traffic, getting where you need to go. It's also more efficient. There's cognitive efficiency. Habits act as mental shortcuts, making daily life more efficient. This allows you to focus all that conscious thinking, your conscious thought, on new challenges or problem solving and important decisions that require more deliberation. Like if you had to consciously think about how to brush your teeth each morning, how to get dressed, how to put on your socks, how to eat, pick up fork, put fork down, chew some. That would use so much mental energy that by the time you got to work, you would have no energy left to actually do the things you want to be doing. We also have them for goal achievement and stability. Habits can help you achieve long-term goals by breaking them into smaller, consistent actions. Routines also provide stability, predictability, and a sense of control, which can also reduce stress. When we talk about planning our food, it is a habit that can be tricky to build, but when our clients build it, you've probably noticed this. If you've built this habit of planning, it does create a sense of control, stability, less decision-making throughout the day. It reduces stress. On the other hand, having habits can take you farther away from your goal. If you have habits that you don't like, if you are at a current weight that you don't want to be at and you've been here, that is because you have habits that are creating that result for you. They are helping you create staying at the same weight or not losing weight. There's also an aspect of that neural plasticity or pathways that we build in our brain. The more a behavior is repeated, the more strongly it is encoded into your brain. The basal ganglia, that is the autopilot part of your brain, takes over and certain neural pathways become well-worn, making behaviors flow more automatically. This is also why you could be working on something. You could be working on a new habit, a new skill, and then something stressful comes up. What I found is when you are in more of a new situation or a state of stress or something changes, we get sent back to some of those really practiced neural pathways. That is where you can be doing so great, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you have a binge or you fall off of a habit. This also happens with our thinking. All of a sudden, you can be feeling self-doubt, self-conscious, even when you weren't before. It is because one of those old pathways jumped in automatically. Just a little brain education there for you to give you an understanding of why we have habits. And it's not as simple as do something different for 21 days, especially if you think about your eating habits. How long have you had certain habits? For some of y'all, it's been since you were a child. You learned these as a child. I'm looking at all of you in the Clean Your Plate Club. Raising my hand too. That was ingrained into some of us as children. Clean your plate, can't do anything until you clean your plate. You've got to be cleaning your plate. You're so good if you clean your plate. No wonder now that we're adults and we're like, hey, actually, I get served a lot of food, especially at restaurants, y'all, especially at restaurants, that I don't need, but I have that urge to clean my plate. I don't want to be wasteful, whatever. That has been practiced forever. I don't care what you do for 21 days. If you've been practicing something for 21 years, hey, that one's gonna win out, okay? All of this matters though, because you can know the right foods to eat or that you should work out more, but if you don't know how to change your habits, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, right? Like that's where I was for many, many years. I knew that I should be eating differently. I knew that I was eating too much. I knew that having ice cream at night wasn't helping me lose weight. I knew that I should exercise for all the reasons. And yet I couldn't get myself to stick to it. I couldn't get myself to do it more than a few days, if even a whole week. This is why you start and stop diets over and over and over again and always end up in the same old habits and routines. And heck, then even that becomes a habit, right? It's like I go hard for a few days and then I fall off. As soon as life gets stressful, I push that aside. That becomes a habit too. And what I found after helping women just like you lose weight for over 5 years I've been doing this, which is kind of wild to think about because that's how long I was working as an OT. So now I have been a coach just as long as I've been an OT, which is kind of cool. But anyway, what I found is that what makes a habit stronger or weaker, right? Because you can unlearn these habits, you can untrain them in your brain, but what decides whether that habit gets stronger or weaker and starts to break is your reaction to it after you catch yourself. Breaking a habit, especially those overeating habits, doesn't come from psyching yourself up to be perfect or from avoiding certain foods for 3 weeks. It happens when you react to that habit differently. What matters most is actually what you do the moment after a bad habit, especially when it comes to eating. So here's an example. Let's say Sally and Susie both overdo it with desserts at a holiday party. They eat more than they planned, they eat past full, they feel kind of bloated and gross after. Okay, both of them do that. Sally beats herself up about it. She starts thinking that this is what she always does. It doesn't matter how hard she tries, she always F's it up. And might as well not even bother anymore until all these holiday foods are gone and she can start fresh in January. And she doesn't even want to think about it anymore because she's so upset about it. It's so painful to think about how much she messed up. So she just gives up on it and avoids thinking about it altogether. Susie, she feels bad about it. But then she asks herself, why did I actually do that? Why did I keep going? What was happening for me? And then she realizes that maybe she felt awkward. Everyone else was having desserts and she felt left out. She didn't really even like those cookies that much. She just felt weird and eating felt less weird for that moment. Which of these women is closer to breaking that habit or doing something different the next time this comes up? It's Susie, right? When you hear it like that, it makes sense. Oh, the person who reflects, who is curious about what happened, who tries to support herself through it, versus the woman who beats herself up and tells herself she's a failure and she's never going to figure this out. Which one is closer to doing it different next time? Which one is more likely to do something different next time? Susie took the time to understand herself and now can do something different next time to support herself even better, to make that habit of eating to avoid awkwardness unnecessary. Your habits are not just random things that you decided to start doing and never stop. They might feel that way, but they're not. They serve a purpose. We don't need to automate things that don't help us out, that we don't need to keep doing. And you might be thinking, overeating doesn't help me out. How does that help me out? Huh? But it does. Like if you're feeling awkward and you eat and that feels better, your brain clocks that for next time. Hey, you know what's better than overthinking how we're feeling and thinking that we're excluded and we don't fit in? Eating. Doing something to fit in. We'll just do that automatically next time. But if you can get curious about that, understand it, give yourself another alternative, understand why that habit is happening, you can change it. You can build a new habit. But most of us are acting like Sally. And in the moment, that does feel like the right thing to do. Like I've got to be hard on myself or I won't change, right? Wrong. You being hard on yourself, I have to call you out. It's just you being a jerk, okay, that never changes anything. Never. I've never seen someone create lasting results, feel confident around food by beating themselves up all the time. It makes you a jerk and a bully. And if your goal is to break that habit, even if you're like, that's what it takes to break my habit, it doesn't though. That actually makes it harder for you to break that habit. You are more likely to do the exact same thing next time. We do not want that, okay? So even if you're resistant to being kinder to yourself, which I know some of you are, okay? I am looking at you. I know that some of you are like, I just can't. If I'm too nice to myself, I'll let myself go. I know you're resistant to it, so you don't have to believe that yet if you don't want to. But if you do want to break your habits, you do need to stop beating yourself up, at least for that reason. So today I'm giving you the questions that you need to ask to work with your brain on breaking those overeating habits, especially during the holidays. This is your podcast. These are your questions to use the morning after any holiday party, because this is actually such a great time to break some of these habits that you have. This is the one time a year where you get to practice eating at a party multiple times in a month. And if you act like Sally, you're going to beat yourself down into giving up until January 1st. But if you take the Susie route, the Susie approach, you can use each party to get better and better at stopping yourself and breaking these crappy habits that are making you gain weight. You could actually get a little closer to breaking that habit every time you go to a party. So let's get into it. This is your holiday hangover plan. How to turn a mess up into a success. The first thing you have to do is decide now how you're going to talk to yourself after a mess up, after that next mess up. How do you treat yourself? What is your relationship with yourself when you aren't perfect? Because it matters. If you are beating yourself up, thinking, I always mess this up, of course you're going to want to give up. If you are kind to yourself, hey, you're able to be more honest with yourself. A lot of us aren't being honest with ourselves. Now, that might sound weird because you know everything that's happening in your brain, you know everything you're doing, but have you ever done sneaky eating by yourself when no one else is around, you're still hiding it, or you're eating in the car on the way home? You are doing sneaky eating. You're trying to hide things from yourself because you know that you're going to be a jerk to yourself when you find out, right? When you do catch yourself. That is also why we don't notice our habits right away. It's kind of like having a parent who is going to scream at you and really let you have it if you do something wrong, versus a parent maybe that would listen and be understanding and have that compassion with you. Which one are you going to talk to? Okay, not saying you're perfect either way, but you're more likely to hide stuff from the one who's going to be hard on you and make you feel bad, judge you for it. And this is not a parenting critique. I personally have no children, but I know that parenting is hard. So again, this isn't a parenting critique, but I just want you to think about that experience with yourself. You could also think about it with friends. Like you probably have a friend where you know you can talk to her about anything and she will listen to you and she will love you anyway and she will have that compassion for you. Like, oh my gosh, what was going on? Oh my goodness, I'm sorry that happened. You're still great, even though you made this mistake, versus the friend who will judge you. You don't feel as close. You don't talk to them about those things. So thinking about it like that, what is your relationship with yourself? Are you hiding things from yourself? Are you not willing to look at it because you know it's going to feel so bad because you're going to be beating the crap out of yourself for it? That does matter. That does make a difference. The second thing is to ask yourself from that compassion, curiosity, understanding, loving place, is there anything to learn from this overeat? Like, why did you really do that? I will tell you, it's not because you're too lazy or don't want it enough. It's not because you are just out of control with food. It's not because you are just too far gone. You've been overweight for too long. That is not why. So why did you grab more cookies or pie? Why did you get more? Sometimes it is as simple as it tasted good, it sounded good, and I didn't know what to do about that. The problem with cravings is that they are actually uncomfortable. That's why we eat for them, right? And what we do in one-to-one coaching is we actually learn a method for how to sit with that and support ourselves through it so that it doesn't feel as uncomfortable. It's like having someone hold your hand during an uncomfortable moment, as opposed to what most of us are used to doing is trying to eat to get that to go away. But as you know, that never is the case. You eat one cookie because you keep thinking about it, and then you have another. So sometimes that is why. Maybe it is just a craving. It just sounded good. Maybe you were scared that this was going to be your last chance to have these. Maybe you have a bit of a dramatic story about it, that this is the only time of year I get to have these. Maybe it's past diet trauma. A lot of us are walking around with past diet trauma that affects us during the holidays. You go wild with the food because you're thinking that Monday you're going back to salads. And actually, maybe that's past diet trauma. Maybe that's current diet trauma. Are you actually going to do that to yourself on Monday? Are you using weight loss plans and meal plans that feel restrictive and really hard for you? So when you're around these fun foods, you feel more out of control, but also you are scared about not having it anymore. Sometimes that's it. There is so much that goes into your food decisions. This is why it's not just about knowing what foods are healthy or unhealthy. is that we have these strong stories, these strong attachments, but when you understand them, when you get curious to know why you did that thing, why you finished your plate, why you had more cookies than you wanted to, you then can come up with the tools and strategies to help yourself even better next time. The third question is, what would you want to do differently next time and why? This seems so simple. This ties in very closely with that second question. It seems so simple, but how many times have you actually asked yourself this? Most of us don't. You're just thinking that next time, hopefully I can be perfect and I never do that again. Oh, please, let me just never want cookies again. Instead, what if you asked yourself, what would I want to do next time? Does that feel doable? Would I be able to do that? What do I think about me trying to do that? Maybe it's I don't want to have any cookies. I want to have this instead. Or maybe I want to have 2 cookies instead of 5. Why do you want to do that? The why is also really important. We've been doing this a lot in one-to-one coaching recently, but really getting clear on our whys. Of course, a big one for a lot of us is wanting to lose weight, right? I want to lose weight, but also those that intrinsic motivation of why does this feel good for me? Why does it feel better to have 2 cookies instead of 5? Why does it feel better to not clean your plate than to clean your plate? For most of us, it's like I don't feel as bloated or gross afterwards. I have more energy. I don't feel as sluggish. I feel proud of myself when I leave, when I show up the way I wanted to with cookies. I do want to enjoy cookies, but I also know that after having a couple, they don't actually taste as good. Thinking about it that way, that why really matters. If your why is because I should, because I have to if I want to lose weight, because that's what my doctor said I should be doing, that's what my meal plan says I should be doing, that's never going to be motivating enough. It's not. So it seems simple, but asking yourself, what do you want to do different next time and why could change everything at that next party. And then this last question is, what can you do now to get back into action? How can you get back into action immediately? Maybe it's drinking water today, staying hydrated, moving your body, planning your meals today and tomorrow, getting into the habits you do want to have, deciding that, reminding yourself that you always have the power to get back into action. And again, that first piece of this is having that good relationship with yourself makes this possible. When you are thinking you're a failure, you can't do it, you always mess it up, you're out of control with food, why do you even bother? Guess what? You stop bothering. You do stop bothering. Of course, then all your habits fall off. Of course, then you just keep overeating for days or you just keep having snacks. You don't get back into action. When you are kind to yourself, remind yourself that you can do this. Remind yourself that all your actions do matter, that you didn't mess it all up, that this next decision matters just as much as what happened at the party last night. It is easier to get back into action, to remind yourself that you're empowered, to feel empowered and capable, and start doing something different, which again, we talked about this in like every holiday episode so far this month, but that is where your power is. A holiday party, you go off the walls, eat whatever you want, never think about any of the food decisions, clean your plate multiple times. Okay, do we want to do that? Maybe not, go back to how to plan for the holidays. But if you just did that and then got back into action the next day, it really wouldn't impact you that much. But most of us are beating ourselves up after those moments. And then one meal turns into an entire week, turns into maybe another week before we realize, oh, wait, I want to get back into action. That all comes from how we talk to ourselves after that party. So be kind to yourself and then get back into those habits the next day. Decide now, what do I do the next day? Or maybe you catch yourself in the moment. Oh man, I'm feeling really bad about what happened last night at that party. Okay, what do I want to do today? Why does that matter? Why do I want to do that? You don't break overeating habits by being harder on yourself. You break them by understanding yourself and responding differently in the moments after, whether that's right after or the next day. And if hearing this, going through this made you think, okay, I get that, but actually doing that, that's where I get stuck. No matter what, I keep finding myself feeling bad and not realizing it till way after. Heck, maybe I don't even notice that I'm doing it sometimes. Maybe it is days or weeks that go by before I catch myself. You are not alone. This actually came up this week on one of our one-to-one coaching calls. It comes up all the time, but this example was really clear. Like this client was building momentum all week with her habits, and then she had a fun weekend planned with friends. She planned for it. She actually felt so proud about how she showed up for it. She used our planning tools to plan for fun. She went on like a wine tour with friends. I think they just had like a girls' weekend. And this is her first time planning for multiple days like that, right? Like multiple days where I am enjoying different foods and drinks than I normally would. And then we met Monday evening. She told me how well the weekend went, how last week went so great. But then she started saying things like, I don't know if I'll ever get back into my routine though. I'm off my routine. I don't know if I can get back into it this week. Hopefully I can. But today was awful and I don't think I'll be able to. Okay, which wasn't adding up, right? You have a great week and a great weekend and then you're like, oh, today was so awful. Why? Well, when we got down to it, I know some of y'all are probably thinking, it's just because she had fun. We can't trust ourselves to have fun on the weekends. No, that wasn't it. I'll tell you what happened though. When we got down to it, she overate some cookies when she got back from this trip. She baked some cookies and didn't plan them and ate them. That is what sent her into a spiral that she didn't catch till Monday night when we talked together. And it was such an easy fix. But it wasn't the weekend because her brain tried to do the same thing. She's like, I guess I just can't trust myself to have fun on a weekend. No, it's what happened afterwards. But even more than that, it's how she started talking to herself about it afterwards. And it really was such an easy fix. She left the call. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited now for the rest of the week. I'm feeling so good. But something like this typically would set her off for days. And we solved it in one 45-minute call and set her up to catch it even earlier next time. Because that's what we do together in coaching. Inside one-to-one coaching, you learn how to catch the habit while it's happening, talk to yourself in a way that actually moves you forward, and learn to build new, simple, repeatable routines that eliminate those old overeating habits. We phase out the old ones that are making you gain weight and build new ones. So if you want to walk into 2026 feeling confident around food, not scared of the holiday parties, not scared of the scale, not scared of the next time you mess up and F it all up, coaching is where we make that happen. So sign up with the link in the show notes or head to readytolosecoach.com to learn more. And until next week, remember, you've totally got this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you for taking time today to listen in. If this helped you at all, be sure to share it with a friend so she can stop feeling stuck and start creating the health and self-love she deserves. Or post it to social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me get the message out. I am so excited to be on this journey with you. Keep showing up for you. You'll get there. Talk to you soon.